You're watching Mirror 7 News. Stay informed, stay ahead for more news.
Stephen King has always been one of those rare writers whose work seems almost made for the movies. His stories, whether terrifying, heartbreaking, or both, translate so naturally to the screen because they're not just about the monsters or the horror, they're about people. And his latest adaptation, The Long Walk, proves that once again in striking fashion. Now, for those who don't know, The Long Walk was actually the very first novel King ever wrote back in the 1960s. Though it wasn't published until 1979 under his Richard Bachman pseudonym. At first glance, the premise might sound grim or even gimmicky. 50 young men are forced to march at 3 miles an hour, non-stop, across America. If they fall behind, they're shot on the spot. The last one left alive wins whatever prize he desires. It's brutal, it's dystopian, and it's horrifying. But as with so many King stories, the real power of The Long Walk isn't the violence. It's the people. Director Francis Lawrence, who's already familiar with dystopian stories from The Hunger Games, leans into that human element, and screenwriter J.T. Molnar makes sure the heart of the film is carried by the bonds of friendship between the competitors, particularly Ray Garotti, played by Cooper Hoffman, and Pete McVeary's, played by David Johnson. These two strangers, thrust into a nightmare, form a connection that gives the film its emotional weight. Their banter, their silences, their fears, all of it feels deeply human. The cast as a whole shines, with Charlie Plummer and Ben Wang bringing memorable supporting turns, while Mark Hamill steps into the role of the commanding major with a chilling presence. But what really keeps audiences invested is that sense of camaraderie among the walkers. Even as one by one, they're eliminated in the most violent of ways. It feels almost like Stand By Me, another King story. Except instead of a childhood adventure, it's a march toward inevitable death. And beneath the story, there's always been metaphor. King admitted when he wrote The Long Walk that it was his way of processing the Vietnam War, where young men were chewed up by a system far bigger than themselves. Watching it now in 2025, that theme feels just as relevant, only now it speaks to authoritarianism, disenfranchisement, and the false promises handed down to desperate people. Critics have called it one of the grimmest mainstream films in years, and it is undeniably bleak. But it's also a film about survival, loyalty, and connection in the face of cruelty. The horror is the backdrop. The heart is what makes it matter. And that's exactly why Stephen King's stories keep getting adapted, decade after decade. His characters, whether heroes or villains, are always layered, flawed, and achingly human. So while The Long Walk may look like another Death Game story in the era of Squid Game and The Hunger Games, it carries something deeper. It isn't just about who lives or dies. It's about friendship, resilience, and the heartbreaking cost of hope. And that's why, even after 50 years, King's stories still belong on the big screen. Stay subscribed for more videos.